Hello and welcome to Big Talk, live from the nation's capital, Abuja. My name is Edika Michael. A pleasure to have you join us tonight as we continue to navigate the current state of our nation. There is a rising tension in some part of Agbo local government area of Benue State, and while some residents are attributing the attacks to headsmen and some issues of activities of the courts group, the police has claimed ignorance about that those, but some reports had gathered that some residents of our Sa community in Agbo were fleeing their homes due to herdsmen attack and killings in those areas. Others say the unrest was caused by the recent kidnapping incident. From all the media reports we've gathered, residents are now appealing to the state government to come to the aid, which has been under siege by kidnappers. Some of these reports has carried claiming that the assailants have killed and kidnapped several people, in which also some part of Agbo residents took to the street in a protest against the incessant killings and kidnappings in their community earlier this week. There was a protest in that area. And joining us is a legal practitioner, Joseph Agbo, Joseph live here on the program to dissect this development. How do we begin to resolve the farmers' headers crisis? And how we have the Ministry of Livestock. What should they live up to, the expectations and concern, and also issues of injustice, jungle justice, even at the roaming in Edo State that recently occurred has continued to draw attention of everyone. And of course, it's critical that we have this conversation to unpack. Thanks so much for joining us on the show, Mr. Joseph. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Yes, a lot of concern. The protests erupted the activities in Agbo earlier the week. They've said that the killings has been attributed to herdsmen. Do you feel that those area or part of Benue State is still being held, under siege due to these incessant situations?
Well, thank you, Michael. I should say it's no longer news that Agbo and other adjoining areas in Benue, the Doma-dominated area in recent times, they've been under siege. That's the truth. Agbo is one of the places I know personally. At a point in time, I schooled in Agbo. It used to be a very pretty, beautiful, peaceful place. But that condition is no longer existent. Because of course, the herders attack or Fulani herdsmen's attack, and then the activities of cultists in that particular area. As it is, there's no gainsaying about the fact that that particular place is under siege. The insecurity is growing in that place, and if care is not taken, and if adequate steps and measures are not taken and put in place, the possibility is that it can snowball into crisis of horrendous proportions. That's the truth. Can snowball into crisis of horrendous proportions. We just hope sincerely that those that are charged with responsibility of providing security, for our societies, that they take this situation very seriously and appropriate things are done to help people live in peace, stay in peace, and those that have fled, that they should return back to their places and engage in their normal way of life.
Because as you rightly said, you understand the terrain. You've lived there literally.
Yeah.
And one may force to ask, how do we get to this point? Because we've seen that some persons have attributed that to issues of herdsmen. They have a lot of concern about, as the creation of the Ministry of Livestock, has that even made moves to address that issue? Because Benue State, being the food basket of the nation, is a critical state and is sensitive if we have issues of insecurity not well managed, which has escalated now that it has gotten to the point of now those area. Critical area, even some, persons moving to Enugu, I think they also have to get through that route.
Exactly.
Getting to Abia, Akwa Ibom, the south, you have to pass through that route. So if we have that situations getting to, so much of high, how do we get there, and how do we begin to arrest them?
The creation of the Ministry of Local Government, it's a good idea. But, just creating it and not putting the proper, structures in place to implement, peace has to be implemented.
Because people were feeling that creation was meant to address matters of this nature.
These are very, very serious issues. You know, the herdsmen issue, it's not just in Benue State, but, you know, talk about it, Plateau State, and ever, in fact, many places in Plateau or in Nigeria as a nation. So the creation of Simplicity are creating the Ministry of Local Government, the Ministry of Livestock. So far, so good. I will not say they've not maybe been doing what they should do, but again, the impact is not yet being felt because the problems are still there. Insecurity, people no longer go to farms. You know, you have the headers, the livestockers, those who have that. You know, it's no longer like those days we were told, you know, many years back, hundreds of years back. This set of people, they lived harmoniously together, but that is no longer the case. And then this ministry, so to say, sincerely, I think that they need to do more. I think that there's a need for a deliberate action, government action. Now, where this ministry is created, it must be backed. You know, there must be synergy between them and the security agencies, and then the willingness to implement, to enforce peace. Government must exercise that.
I mean, every time we talk on insecurity, there are a lot of concerns. Everybody will say it's every man's business.
Yeah.
All hands must always be on deck. People have blamed the state government. People are also looking at the federal government. Government will tell you that, yes, indeed, responsibility of protecting lives resides within the government, and of course, but the state government will tell you that, you know, issues of insecurity are sometimes well managed by the federal. So federal controls, you know, the security agencies, you know, and all of that. So there's a lot of push of responsibility on
the government sincerely cannot push that responsibility to the people. Yes, you know, the people are stakeholders. They are part of, you know, but that responsibility again cannot be pushed to the people. The Constitution is very clear on that. Section 14 of the Constitution, 1999 Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria, as amended, says it very clearly. It says security and welfare of the people shall be the primary purpose of government. In fact, the reason why there's government is that there should be security, and that there should be, you know, the welfare of the people should be catered for. Now, the people have delegated that powers already to the government. So you see, it makes no sense where that is pushed back to the people. There's no law that permits Nigerian people to carry arms and, you know, like that, you know, all those kind of instruments, you know, to move around with them. Now, okay, where you have a situation where you have people that now are non-state actors who are in possession of high caliber kind of profile, kind of high profile kind of sophisticated arms. Now, you don't expect the ordinary Nigerian citizen, the selfless, the defenseless, you know, to what do they do? It is the responsibility of the government to defend the people. So, yes, the people have a role to play in it, but again, you cannot shift that responsibility in its whole to the people. So it resides with the people. Now, where there's no security in any given society, it's the blame should be attributed to the government. It's a failure of government on the part of the government. It's a failure on the part of the government.
I mean, some properties were destroyed, looted. We've also seen the fact that the governor had visited those areas where he met some level of observed significant damage to the building, concerned about the destruction and condemning the actions of the protesters. So the protesters who took to the street, because when you look at the issue of responsibility, for instance, what happened in the Oromi community where 16 persons were mobbed, people said, Dongo justice is condemnable, you cannot take the laws into their hands. But a situation where, as we said, citizens now feel that they are not safe enough. They now want to provide their own security to start protecting themselves. Would that get Nigeria, would that solve our insecurity problems?
Well, like I said, we must act, and act quickly. Otherwise, we'll have a situation where the whole country is plunged into crisis of a horrendous proportion. Because the Nigerian people and the average Nigerian person no longer feels secured. They no longer trust that the government or the people, the security agencies, the people that are saddled with the responsibility of protection of providing security for the, for lives, for properties of the people. They no longer feel that those people are discharging their responsibilities. And that is the reason why a lot of times, even though we are not trying to excuse people for taking, some things into their arms, but again, that is the reason why everywhere now people are trying to do some one thing or the other to provide security for themselves. They're doing one thing or the other to produce, like what happened in Uromi, in Edo State. You can see clearly that we are told, it has been reported in the news media time and again that these people have been attacked and they are, they've been under siege. Their women have been kidnapped, raped, their children, marauded, and dealt with by strangers, by criminals who carry all manner of sophisticated arms. And I think maybe nothing much was done. Assuming the proper steps were taken, assuming proper measures were taken, steps were taken to forestall these things, the likelihood is that the people would naturally rely on the government or the security agencies. So in as much as it is condemnable, life is, there's the sanctity of life, section 33 of the Constitution provides very clearly that nobody should be, no Nigerian should be deprived of his right to life. Life is the right that is alien, is God-given as a matter of fact. And nobody has the right to take another man's life except through procedures that have been provided by law. And that is that whoever, that such people have gone through the process of trial, investigation, and, where the law has to make a pronouncement, the sentence has to be, otherwise nobody has the right.
How about self-defense? Because some people will say...
Yes, of course, self-defense is global. It's global, where, somebody applies appropriate, commensurate force in self-defense. That is self-defense.
Because some of the revelations like that from Edo said is that they were kidnappers. They were coming to attack the community.
But sincerely, once you have arrested them, whether they were kidnappers, I'm not trying to be a judge or make a conclusion, but I think that common sense should prevail, and we should be fair enough. We should be fair enough.
How would have they handled that situation?
That where you have already arrested these people, you have demobilized them, then hand them over to the security agencies for proper investigation and trial. Because jungle justice, where you take that into your hand, the real likelihood is that even the innocent can suffer. The reason everybody is not allowed to judge and to implement justice in the jungle way is that the innocent life the innocent can suffer. Now we must not forget the fact that even the law presumes everybody innocent until proven guilty. So I think that it was, yes, the people, they would have been through situations. Of course, the problem of palpable insecurity in that community in the first place, that's why maybe they formed vigilante that the government is saying they are not even aware of their existence or their creation. Definitely, it was not a picnic situation. They would have been under very critical, very serious threat for them to have taken those steps. Of course, life is precious, and you will not just sit back and allow people to continue to kill you, okay, to continue to waste your resources and waste your life. So definitely, the people had a situation at hand. However, they shouldn't have gone to the extent to which they went. Having gotten these people, then hand them over to the appropriate authorities. Hand them over to the appropriate authorities so that there can be a distilling of who, what, where, what, who did what, and what is happening, and then who definitely will face go through the process of investigation and trial. And then if there's any culpability, of course, the appropriate sanctions, appropriate disciplinary measures should have been applied. But when you took that into your hand as an ordinary citizen, the real likelihood is that you cannot use illegality to cure illegality. You understand? You cannot use that kind of action. It cannot cure injustice. It cannot cure criminality. You see, there will be definitely problems.
Pastor, let me take you back to the farm. There was an alarm that was raised that some cows were allegedly poisoned on a nearby farm, which led to, I don't know if you are aware that the situation that heightened that,
I read that
attention.
Yeah.
Now, a 54-year-old farmer from Usha community in Agatulu government area slumped and died after a false alarm was raised about an attack by suspected herders. There was a concern about that. He was heading to his farm earlier when some youth suddenly shouted, "Fulani, Fulani," in panic, and the man went back and died. There were a lot of concerns about that. So sometimes concerns about the farm, if our farms are no longer safe, you know, because I earlier said that issue concern about, I mean, the productivity of Benue State, how critical Benue State it is for what they say food basket of the nation. So it looks like our farms are no longer safe with this situation.
They're actually no longer safe. And you can see that's part of the reason why there's food insecurity generally. Because essentially Benue State alone, before now, could provide food for, in fact, for the whole nation. They can feed the whole nation. But where you have this kind of insecurity and people no longer go to farm, it's no longer safe to go to farm. You see, we are now left with a situation where, you know, what we used to get, we no longer get them. The yams from Benue State, the fruits, orange, you know, there's so much. It's a very fertile area. You have good land, water, you have everything.
So people are running away from those farms.
People no longer go to those farms because what is it for? The other day I saw a picture that was posted. Somebody that went to farm and had harvested his cassava, but was killed. So, you know, there can be no pretense. We cannot pretend. We can't pretend about this, and these things are there. But you know why? One wonders why this thing has lingered. Because if you ask me, I'll tell you, it has lingered. Because this has been going on and on and on and on. There should be a solution to this problem. There should be a solution to this problem. One man rights begin where, yes, there are farmers and there are herders. Just like you have people that are into different, you know, different people have their different engagements. I'm a lawyer, for example. You're a journalist, okay? You know, this is my farm, that's your farm. Now, these people also, the herders, that's their. But again, there should be a definition. There should be there should be boundaries.
But is it possible that they can work together? Because some people are
saying, can
the farm and the and the cattle and everything going to work together?
If you read history very well, you discover that, you know, and if you look at creation, the way God created the whole, you know, how it's supposed to, they are supposed to work interdependently. For example, if during the farming season, the farmer goes to his farm and farms, after harvest, now you can bring the herders, they can bring their cows to feast on the stalks. In the process, you need the farmer needs manure. Now, but the problem now is that the herders now carry their cattle into the farms and eat the people's crops even before harvest. Do you understand? These things are supposed to be seasonal. They are supposed to be such that after the farming season, these people migrate with their cows. And then when they go to places where, you know, where their already harvest has taken place, and then it can work like that. And then when they come, they eat whatever is the waste. And in the process, the dungs from the cattle, they produce manure for the land. The land is rejuvenated, sort of. And then the next farming season, the farmer will not need, the artificial fertilizer. If you look at it, that's how it's supposed to work. But where you have bad faith, where you have people who carry AK-47, AK-49, all that, Kalashi machine, and then they go and in quote that they
are they always carrying those things in a way of protecting their cows?
But are they licensed to do that? Are they licensed to do that? Now, if they can carry that, they are allowed to carry.
The farmers always harmless.
Then the farmers should also carry to protect their crops. And you see, if that happens, then you have a state of lawlessness. I would say it boldly, sincerely, that there's conspiracy in the whole of these theories. You know, there's something that is not just right. And I want to believe that the government knows what to do. I don't think that these people brandishing all manner of weapons, dangerous weapons, under guise of protecting their cows, I don't think that they are beyond what the government can handle. There should be a definition of all this interrelationship. These contradictions should be resolved. Where you have the government that is willing, you say Ministry of, what is it called?
Livestock.
Livestock. What are they doing?
Because that
The
was
Ministry
one,
of
that was
Agriculture,
one
what
of the
is the
intentions.
interface?
Well,
What
that
is the
was one of the
interface?
intentions of creating that
What is
ministry.
the interface? Nobody should die. What is the interface? If there's sincerity on the side of, on all the sides, what is the motive? If you are either you are carrying your cattle, migrating with them to wherever, what is your motive? Is it just purely to feed your livestock? If that's the case, you can interface with the host community, and these things can be managed. These things can be managed. So I think that is a problem of bad faith. There's bad faith in it. There's bad faith in it because the farmer, yes, should not. We're all Nigerians, and everybody has the right to freedom of movement and all that. But there should be some restrictions, and there should be some definitions. There should be some definitions. You cannot, there should be some definitions that define, our interface, our all these exchanges. They should be defined. There should be laws governing them.
I mean, the essence why we're having this conversation is because, one, it has touched on very critical areas of sectors of this, of our livelihood, the issues of insecurity and issues of food. Because the nation grappling with the recent economic situation, we need to begin to see how that kind of conversation issues can be resolved. People have said the number of police that we have cannot begin to police all of this situation heads on. By that nature, do you now get to justification that there's a need for us to have state policing? Because people are now saying that these are becoming a domestic situation. Our farms, can the police still be able to police the situation at the farms? Because it looks like our farms are entirely isolated, so to say.
Seriously, there's a need for improving the policing system in Nigeria. Yes. But when it comes to having the state police, are we really prepared for that? Because it's not just about creating the state, allowing every state to have its own police force. Would they be able to take care of them? Would they be able to be taken care of? Are the states viable? How many states are viable financially in Nigeria that can take care of? Because we must be careful so that we don't create a bigger problem in the process, in the effort to cure one problem. Okay. The other angle to it is that care also must be taken because politicians can also use the state allowed. Ordinarily, the state governor should be able to as a chief executive of the state, should have the police force at his behest. He should be able to, at every given moment, give orders for the purposes of security of lives, for protecting lives and properties of the people in every particular state. But again, there are a whole lot of issues, and the debate, I think, is ongoing. For now, there's a need to boost the police force. There's a need to widen, to increase it, get the police properly trained. And then, of course, it must not just be the police carrying a baton or moving up and down at traffic. You have a cluster of them in Abuja at traffic lights. No, that's not where we have.
Some persons are accompanying politicians.
Yes,
and all of that.
you have
So
one
the
politician.
the number of persons.
These days, you have anybody that has, you have VIPs, the police, the ones that carry blue. These are not the main, I think, the primary responsibility of the police. Why there's the police, we should be able to train the police and make it, the structure is in such a way that the police can, we can have the police that take care of the different areas of challenges, security challenges in Nigeria. And I can tell you that the Nigerian police force, given all the tools for work, the Nigerian police force is a very, very intelligent force. That's been proven over time, whether within Nigeria and outside Nigeria. Sincerely, they can tackle the problem of insecurity in Nigeria, whatever kind of insecurity, if they are given the free hand, properly mobilized, and allowed to do what they should do. They would. I'm telling you, even the critical insecurities you have in the northeast and northwest and all that, I believe that the Nigerian police can handle it. Giving all moral support, all support they should have from all and sundry. So the police force should be, they need to look at it. If the police force, the Nigerian police force is properly structured and put in the place where it should be, I believe that every problem Nigeria has is 50% solved. That's the truth. Whether it is insecurity, whether it is crime, whether it's poverty, whatever it is, if the police is in place, if we're able to get the police in the proper place that it should be, then we are 50%, gone in solving the problem.
I mean, one may begin to pause and wonder, in a way of advice, what kind of conversation can we have, can we begin to have to resolve all of these crises in Benue State? What would be your opinion?
Well, all stakeholders must, you see, we must always not forget the fact that we are meant to live together. There is no society without contradictions. Every society has cultural, whether we call it irrespective of their level of civilization, every society has contradictions. And every society must develop or discover ways that they can manage their contradictions. There is diversity. You understand? Different people have different norms and all that. But we are together in this, in society and like a family. We must now develop how we relate and how we manage whatever resources we have, be it land, be it the natural, human, and whatever. So there must be that good faith. And then, of course, those in authority must also give the lead. There must be good faith on the part of the government and on the part of the people. Once that is, we must get to a place where we're able to not just, there have been sponsored propaganda over time. Falsehood that Nigerian people have been made to embrace. You understand? Nigerians must know that every other Nigerian is your brother. Every other Nigerian is your, you are meant to cohabit. You are meant to pursue what is what is the goal of this nation. We are meant to work together, just like you have the Nigerian football team. When it comes to sports, we don't talk about our diversity does not play is not an impediment. We must be able to work together as one people. We must be able to work together as one people. We must know that we must build this nation. Nigeria is our is a responsibility for all of us, and we must all work, put our hands together. We must all put our heads together and make Nigeria work. Once we get to that point, I tell you that we'll cure these problems.
Because people were describing how fast the president was able to declare state of emergency in Rivers State, just because of the threats of the destructions of pipelines and all of that, which never even happened. Some people said, why wouldn't you declare state of emergency in a situation in some state where we are having this issue? People were calling even in Edo State, and of course I know that they also may call in Benue State. So it gets to a point where they have questioned about the readiness of the government to confront, situations threatening our national, development. Because if we have all of these things lingered over and over again, and every government will tell you, and it's in the Constitution for government to protect lives and properties of of all of us. So it gets to the point of reminding government their essence of existence, because when people start to take laws into their hands, start providing security for themselves, start carrying arms to themselves to protect, because we've seen a senator already putting a bill in the National Assembly for people to start carrying their own guns. We don't know how realistic, if that bill comes to pass, what it will definitely mean. But in a way, they're concerned about how they can increase, insecurity architectures in the country.
The Nigeria is a federation. There has been imbalance. That's the truth. You understand what Section 42 of the Constitution says? One Nigerian should not be discriminated against. What other people are allowed to enjoy, every other Nigerian should be entitled to allowed to enjoy such also. You understand? There are a segment of this country that appear to have the right to do whatever. Nobody questions them. And that is not right. That is not right. That is not good for everybody. Okay? Now, people are questioning that, okay, let a law be created to allow people to carry firearms under guise of, security, and then they need to protect oneself. Now, where that is done in this country with the, with our mindset, with the way we are, then you have a war theater, sincerely speaking. I would not subscribe to it. However, there's a need to ensure that everybody is treated equally. Life is sacred. Life is precious.
Every life.
Every life is precious.
Irrespective of religion.
Well, irrespective of your religion, even God will not allow you to kill even a sinner. It's not in your power to kill any man. You didn't create one. One set of people should not be allowed to brandish arms all over and threaten everybody, and then other people, because if it goes on like that, other people would revolt. Are you get what I'm saying? Other people revolt. So it should be a level playing ground. The government must ensure that everybody, you see like the kind of reaction in the killing of the, I reacted against it. I don't like it. I will not accept that. That kind of mob killing, never. And I'll never admit to killing anybody anywhere. You understand? And all Nigerians should condemn it. Just like, let me speak from the tip of the tongue of a Nigerian activist. Sorry. He said, the people that killed the 16 in Edo State, they must face justice. The people that killed Deborah Yakubu in Sokoto State must be brought to justice. The people that kill people wherever, they must be brought to justice. They must be brought to justice. It's not a banana republic. The law is not for just one part of Nigeria. Every life is sacred. Every life is protected by the same laws. So where that is done, then people cannot have the effrontery to just come out, stand in the way, arrest people and kill them like that. Because sincerely, it has gotten to a point where killing people is no longer anything in Nigeria, because it has been happening in some places, and sometimes the government pretends like they don't know what is happening. There are issues that must be brought to justice in this country to set the record, to give, to make it very clear. And the government must be decisive. It goes beyond coming to issue press statement condemning an act. No, it shouldn't be that. It should be seen that, like it happens in other climes, the United States. You see somebody who killed 20 years back and is still being brought to justice. Even if it is 100 years. Even if it's 100 years.
It also gets to justice system as well.
Yes.
Because those that are also said, judgment is delayed in this part of the world. We've also.
But when we practice injustice and we allow these things to fester, then of course you know that you cannot, he who sows, you understand, will reap wild wind. Okay, so it must be a level playing ground. It should be whatever is wrong, north, south, west, it is wrong. Whatever should not be tolerated in one place should not be tolerated anywhere. And we must say this, the elders we have in this country must show us good examples. Don't allow people in your backyard desecrate the sanctity of human life and then cover it with the guise of whatever religious reason, and then expect that when other people, then you come out and condemn it. No. It should be condemned, north, west, south, and all people of all religion, all creed must come out anytime the life of any Nigerian is taken, except by ways provided under the law. Wherever that happens, it should not just be condemned. Those people must be brought to justice. They must be brought to justice.
Because if people do not, feel that some person have been brought to justice, they may also learn lessons and to avoid such situation. A lot of concerns right there,
exactly.
But a more concerning. But people will also attribute to concern about, the lack of education, the dropout of schools, and the concern about the rising numbers of out of school.
No, it cannot be lack of education. You understand?
People are not enlightened. How would they begin to?
Cannot be lack of killing another person. You can't just kill another person. Even if it is your sometimes you rear livestock, and all that, you have the feelings for the issue. It has to do with the human feeling. How do you begin to club somebody and burn somebody to death? I think it's a very dangerous kind of mob killing, what they call it, jungle justice. The government must stop that. Whatever drastic measure that must be put in place, that must stop now. I can tell you that so many innocent people have been killed. Their blood spilled. No, and that is not right. There should be no jungle justice. This is we are in the 21st century. There should be no jungle justice at all. And again, we must say those that must do whatever they must do, the police, the security agencies, DSS, they must do what they do. The law courts must be seen to give justice. You know, like it is said, that justice must not just be, it must be seen that justice is done. It must be seen. Apparent, it must be a patently clear thing. It must be seen. Everybody must be convinced that justice is usually dispensed where it ought to be given.
All right. Lastly, before we wrap up, issues of increasing the welfareism of the nations, because some person will feel that if we do not begin to tackle the issues of unemployment, because look at the issue of kidnapping, kidnapping for ransom, and the rise of it, people are now saying that it's becoming a new business and increasing day by day in some areas. So, how do we begin to also look at that area? Is it the issue of hunger in the country? What do we attribute all of this to?
You see, our value system has problem. Do you understand? Our value, that problem stems from in Nigeria. However, that we are practicing a kind of society life where it doesn't matter where you acquired your wealth, you are celebrated once you have the means, and that is wrong. That is wrong. And that's why people go all out. It's almost like it's no longer an excuse not to have the means. And that is where the problem is. And that's where the problem is. So if we're able to correct that, it's not about lack of job. In fact, we should no longer even be complaining about lack of job, because with the way the global trend, you know, you can trade online, you can do so many things. All the Yahoo boys you have, if they convert their industry and apply it properly, they will make a whole lot of, do you understand? They will make fortunes. You can invent. The world is an open market right now, as it is. You don't even need to go to school to be able to apply. These are appliances that you can use. It's just about taxing your mind. And that is where our national orientation should be working at. We should try to give a new orientation. There should be a deliberate effort to give a direction. Do you understand? There should be, we must change this thing. It touches on every side. It's just like, you must not win election at all costs. You just win election so that they say that so person is, no, it should not just be it. It should not be it. It's not the finality. Our orientation must now begin to change. The moment it begins to change, I think that we'll get a whole lot of things right. We'll get people into jobs. We get the proper structure. And everybody, life will be good. Life will be sweet. It will be prolonged for everybody. Already we are blessed. We have everything. Now, the hunger we have, like we're talking about, is not God-made. It's man-made. It's deliberate. Where somebody stands and nobody goes to farm, and then everybody is in hunger. You see, it's a deliberate thing. You can't do that in the United States. You can't do that in even some of these African countries. You can't do that in Ghana. They will not allow you. They will not allow you.
Pastor Joseph Agbo, thank you so much for joining us. He is a legal practitioner. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and, of course, raising those valued points on the program tonight, which is we needed to resolve, needed to highlight, and, of course, bring to awareness about how government can begin to pay attention, because insecurity, if threatened and if it's not well resolved, it can lead to a lot of distractions, undermine national development, and lead to anarchy if time, and of course all of that is not well managed. And of course it's now a clarion call. Both the state government and the federal government must do all it can, provided with the resources that they have at their disposal, to tackle these issues of insecurity at the respective state, because farmers must return back to farms, and herders as well must strive, but peacefully, Ministry of Livestock must also see as the priorities to address all of this situation coming out from Benue State, not just in Benue State, Edo State, every state that is having issues of insecurity, Zamfara State and the rest, should begin to see how they can resolve all of those crises, just to begin to have the lives of Nigerians well protected, because in the Constitution, government must protect lives and properties. Thanks so much, Joseph, for joining us on the program tonight on Big Talk. That's where we'll wrap it up. Everyone, we look forward again to seeing more stories and conversations and development coming in the nation. My name is Michael. Thanks so much for watching and stay with us here on Big Talk. See you again.